العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك اللهم آمين. أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear brothers and sisters, respected elders, today I'll just sit here so that your necks don't hurt by looking up all the time, inshallah. And I'm not someone to look up to, pun intended. So last week we talked about falah and fawz, the subtle differences between two of the most common words used in the Quran and the Sunnah to describe success. Afterward, I uploaded the video to YouTube and a brother or sister commented. He says, SubhanAllah, it reminded me of two consecutive ayah in Surah An-Nur which demonstrates this point exactly. And he or she mentioned that in Surah An-Nur, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, إنما كان قول المؤمنين إذا دعوا إلى الله ورسوله ليحكم بينهم أن يقولوا سمعنا وأطعنا وأولئك هم المفلحون ومن يطع الله ورسوله ويخشى الله ويتقه فأولئك هم الفائزون. Two ayah, consecutive ayah. In the first one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, indeed, when the believers are called towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger to make a decision for them, it is only befitting for them to say, we heard and we obeyed, and these are the muflihun. Because we hear, we obey, this is cultivating. If you remember what we mentioned last time, this is kind of nurturing. We do whatever Allah commands us to do, this is growth, this is nurturing. And then He said, whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger, and he fears Allah, and he has taqwa, and this is talking about tazkiyah now, right? Leaving all the sins, and leaving all the crimes, and leaving all the disobediences, فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَائِزُونَ. Those are the faizun. So it, again, proves the subtle difference between falah and fawz. And subhanAllah, the Quran is an endless treasure. If you have a conclusion, an understanding, a discovery that is true, the Quran will support it. And if you have a false conclusion, the Quran will refute it. So Quran is the Furqan, is the criteria for us to know what is right and what is wrong, subhanAllah. So alhamdulillah, الذي أنزل القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. Today's reminder, the title is I Love You. And it's not a Valentine special. We don't celebrate that. Alhamdulillah. But a few days after I came to the masjid and started leading prayer and gave a few talks and stuff, a brother called me to the side and he said, Brother Isa, come, I want to say something to you. And I got nervous. I was like, okay, what did I do wrong now? Did I breathe wrong in salah? What happened? Because if you're honest, the general climate among the Muslims nowadays is overly critical. To a point that when someone says, come here, I want to tell you something, you're expecting criticism and complaint from us. So this brother said, Brother Isa, come, I want to say something to you. And I said, okay, what's wrong? What happened? I'm sorry, first of all, what happened? He said, I love you for the sake of Allah. And I said, أَحَبَّكَ الَّذِي أَحْبَبْتَنِي فِيهِ. May the one for whose sake you love me, love you. May Allah love you, as is the answer from the Sunnah. But it was a pleasant surprise. But the fact that it is a surprise is sad, because it shouldn't be surprising. We should be telling each other that I love you for the sake of Allah all the time. And we should be hearing these expressions all the time. It shouldn't be surprising at all. But it has become surprising. So what happened to us? Where did the love go? Imam Abu Dawud and others narrated a hadith on the authority of Abi Karim al-Qadad ibn al-Ma'adi Karam radiallahu anhu. He said that the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا أَحَبَّ الرَّجُلُ أَخَاهُ فَلْيُخْبِرْهُ أَنَّهُ يُحِبُّهُ. He said when a man loves his brother, he should inform him, he should tell him that he loves him. And of course this applies to both genders. If a sister loves a sister, she should tell her that she loves him. She loves her. Of course, if a brother comes to a sister and said, I love you for the sake of Allah, the sister should say, I hate you for the sake of Allah. Behave yourself. Ittaqillah. So the Prophet ﷺ said, if someone loves his brother, he should tell him. And he did that himself. As Imam Abu Dawud narrated on the authority of Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu, أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أخذ بيده وقال يا معاذ والله إني لأحبك والله إني لأحبك أوصيك يا معاذ لا تدعن في دبر كل صلاة تقول اللهم أعني على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, he narrated, he said, the Prophet ﷺ took hold of my hand, he held my hand, and he said, oh Mu'adh, I swear by Allah, I really love you. I swear by Allah, I really love you. He said it twice. He said, I advise you, O Mu'adh, that never give up in the end of each salah, saying, oh Allah, help me in remembering you, in thanking you, in worshiping you in the best way. In the dua, Allahumma a'ini ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. So the Prophet ﷺ, the most honorable person to ever walk the face of earth, he was not shy to tell a brother that he loves him. So what's wrong with us? Why don't we say to each other that I love you for the sake of Allah? And you know, when's the last time you heard someone say to you in a genuine way, I love you for the sake of Allah? And when's the last time you said that to someone else? And if it has happened to you, you know that it's a very impressive encounter. It will always be in your memory, right? And many of the problems in the Ummah today, I believe, can be solved by an increase of saying to each other, I love you for the sake of Allah. I really love you, brother. So, loving each other for the sake of Allah is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves Himself. As in the famous hadith that Bukhari and Muslim narrated on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, سَبْعَةٌ يُظِلُّهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي ظِلِّهِ يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلُّهُ. There are 7 categories of people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will shade them on the day when there is no other shade except His shade. And one of these 7 kinds of people is وَرَجُلَانِ تَحَبَّا فِي اللَّهِ اجْتَمَعَ عَلَيْهِ وَتَفَرَّقَ عَلَيْهِ. 2 people, they love each other for the sake of Allah. They meet upon that love and they depart upon that love. Meaning when they meet, they love each other. When they leave, they still love each other. Unfortunately, in our situation, sometimes we meet and we love each other. When we leave, we hate each other. Because something bad happened in that encounter. But they gather for that love and they depart for that love. And this is one of the 7 kinds of people that will be shaded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day when there is no shade except His shade. Imam Muslim also narrated on the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu that the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى يَقُولُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَيْنَ الْمُتَحَابُّونَ بِجَلَالِي الْيَوْمَ أُظِلُّهُمْ فِي ظِلِّ يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلِّي. The Prophet ﷺ said, on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, He will make an announcement, where are those people who loved each other for my sake? Today I will shade them when there's no shade except my shade. Of course, Allah Azza wa Jalla knows who they are and where they are. He's not looking for them, but He's calling them to honor them, for them to stand out, for everyone to see that these are the people who love each other for my sake, to give them this special honor. And Imam Tirmidhi and Imam Ahmad, rahimahumullah, narrated on the authority of Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu that the Prophet ﷺ said, قال الله عز وجل المتحبون في جلالي لهم منابر من نور يغبطهم النبيون والشهداء. He said that the people who love each other for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the day of judgment, they will have manabir min nur. This is a mimbar. Manabir is the plural of mimbar, platforms and pulpits. The people who love each other for Allah, they will have pulpits and platforms made of light on the day of judgment. Can you imagine people standing on top of platforms made of light? And the reason for that is they love each other for the sake of Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ said the prophets and the shuhada, the martyrs, they will envy them. But here the scholars explain, it's not ghibtu tamanni. It is not wishing for something that you don't have. It is called ghibtu at-ta'ajjub wal istihsan. It is envy of pleasant surprise and wanting good for somebody, like mashallah, good for you. That's great, that's amazing, I'm happy for you, right? That's that kind of a ghibtu. But this is a high status, loving each other for the sake of Allah. I want you to just think about this. In this world, among human beings, there are atheists who don't believe there's a creator. There are polytheists who worship false idols that do not deserve to be worshipped. There are people who celebrate their sins and publicize their immorality and call people towards deviance. There are people who glorify a lifestyle of instant gratification and self-admiration and amusing ourselves to death. And here among you, you have people who only worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. You have people who love the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as much as you do, or even more than you do. You have people who you stand in line, shoulder to shoulder, chest in the same line, and you prostrate together, and you bow together, so that you are included in the same term in the Quran. وَرُكَعُ مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ. We are all becoming a part of this word, الرَّاكِعِينَ. وَكُن مِنَ السَّاجِدِينَ. We become a part of this term, السَّاجِدِينَ. You have people who are so close to you. You have people who perhaps, بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى, will enter paradise with you side by side. Why don't we love each other? Why don't we love each other? What's stopping us? So I will say, as the Prophet ﷺ told Mu'adh, Wallahi la uhibbukum. I swear by Allah I love you. Wallahi la uhibbukum. I swear by Allah I love you. And so when we develop this love for each other, I believe many problems will be solved. Many problems will be avoided, and barakah will come, because Allah loves those who love each other for His sake. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place this love in our hearts towards each other. Because Allah Azza wa Jalla said, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا. Indeed, those who believe and do righteous deeds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, Ar-Rahman, will place a special kind of love amongst them. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place this love in our hearts, so that we love each other, and so that we gain His love because of this mutual love. Allahumma inna nas'aluka fi'al al-khayrat, وترك المنكرات وحب المساكين وأن تغفر لنا وترحمنا وإن أردت فتنة قوم فتوفنا غير مفتونين ونسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب عمل يقرب إلى حبك ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم اللهم آمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته